Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Focus Show, brought to you by FactoryNOW TV. I'm your host, Chris Greenough, and in this brand new series, we will focus on SMEs within the UK manufacturing sector. Every week, we will be meeting manufacturers to discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges that face UK manufacturing in these unprecedented times. I have worked in the sector for over 26 years, and I am CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. So this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Joe Handsaker, Chief Executive of Elements Technology.
Hi,
Joe,
Chris.
nice to meet you.
Hello.
Good to see you. We're doing lots of these virtual get-togethers. This seems to be the new norm, unfortunately, but we're making it work. So tell me about Elements Technology. Tell me about what you do.
Yeah, so we're a startup based in Sheffield. We make software for manufacturers big and small. So we started off with the aim of trying to make software that was really bespoke for SME manufacturers, and in particular, the very small. But what we've seen is that it's a real mixture of companies from different sectors, different sizes. They're kind of getting the benefits of adding a bit more visibility to their factory. So we've got some people who are using it as kind of on its own, and others where it's providing, I suppose, a more usable and intuitive front face to their existing ERP systems.
Fantastic. And you pride yourselves as a northern technology company. So what strengths does the North have in terms of industrialization, digitization? What makes it great to be up north?
I suppose it's that honesty, isn't it? If something's crap, they'll tell you. So we can speak to people and get their honest feedback and opinion, and that obviously helps us to make sure we create features that are actually useful and aren't just there as kind of faff. So like one of the things that we try and do is keep things simple and make sure it's usable, and try not to go down this route of trying to overcomplicate things and try and use all these terms like artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data, when actually you don't really need to be using stuff like that. You can just be saying, as we do in our marketing, is that what you're doing is you're learning, you're taking data and you're learning what typically happens and then making predictions. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be doing anything complicated. So
a technology company actually listening to their customers, that sounds, that's a real revolution. So when you talk about digital industrial revolution, say that again. So when you talk about industrial revolution, Industry 4.0 continues to baffle many SMEs. So what are your top tips for fast tracking businesses into digitization?
So start small, start cheap, and give things a go. So that's where I think free trials and the ability to try out things in a factory on a small scale in a way that doesn't take much time, doesn't cost any money or cost very little money. That's what you should be doing. So I've done talks. There's a group up north called Manufacturers Alliance, and I do talks for them. Spoke to a few of their groups now. And for example, 3D printing. 3D printing, you can buy a printer for 200-300 quid, and you can give it a go, see what things you can make with it. And the majority of people that I've spoken to who've done that have then gone on to buy the expensive ones, the ones where you can create carbon nylon prints and steel prints or whatever. Same with probably the best example of this was I showed virtual reality via mobile phones and like a little headset. Showed this to a company. They gave it to one of their electricians on the line who they knew was tech savvy, and he's now their kind of digital guy. So he's created a virtual marketing environment. So every single one of their machines you can then view virtually. They would never have jumped in and bought a HTC Vive and dedicated a whole room to being their virtual reality room. This is a company that make packaging machines. It's not something you'd expect, but because they were able to go, well, I can buy a £20 kind of headset that I just put my phone in, I can view things in 360, and I can buy a camera that will record things for 150 quid, because they're able to try it out for, well, less than £200, everything. They can actually make an informed decision on whether to actually kind of scale up and go, well, if we really take a punt on this, we can get some real benefits. So I believe they're now able to, well, particularly now it's great, but even last year, they were able to attend conferences or exhibitions abroad and just be able to take a computer and a headset. And if you go to an exhibition and see a VR headset, you're having a go. Like they're for me, VR and AR, they're gimmicky, but marketing and sales are where gimmicks work. Those are the kind of things where if you can attract attention, get people's interest, it's half the battle. So yeah, there's some really interesting things, but you don't have to spend loads of money to do them. You certainly don't need to spend it early doors to try things out.
And it's also, I mean, you talked about then, I mean, last year that would have been a great idea, but now with COVID and the impact that people can't get out and sell their wares, sell their machines, they'll be seeing the dividends from that. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's been shown time and time again, in times of recession or difficulty, it's innovations that kind of lead the path, really. So it's the companies that will be able to innovate and that will be able to come up with new ideas on how to get through it, because it forces you to change, it forces you to evolve. So yeah, I think some companies are going to come out of it with either interesting new products or interesting new ways to display their products that will help them for decades, but they would never have done it otherwise.
So how do you see that software fits into SME business plans? Because a lot of people don't plan around that industrial revolution, new software, new kits coming out. So how do you see that an SME can plan that going forward?
Yeah, so I suppose it comes down to what the software is there to do is try and solve business needs and business problems. So like I've said, our software solves multiple issues. So issues around kind of transparency. If you need to know some information, if you've got a set of paper job sheets, unless you ask and find those paper job sheets, you don't know what's happened to that order. By digitizing it, you do know instantly from wherever you are. There's things like quality controls. We can take photos with our software. So with our app, you can not only record when people have done things and write in test results, but you can also get photographic evidence. So you can do more with it. But then things like training and confirming that the right people are doing the right things. There's also companies like Starling out there, Starling Solutions, who do digital work instructions. What you're solving is something that would normally be paper-based and therefore harder to access. It takes more time and you probably can't do it to the same level. These digital solutions actually allow you to do things better and quicker, and just getting it right first time, I suppose, is the main thing, isn't it? That's what you want.
And you've also got that, because it's all digital, you've got an audit trail. You can see exactly what's happened, what went wrong, what went well, and improve your business. So I know you collaborate a lot with partners, one of which is the AMRC. So how important do you see is the link between businesses like yours pushing technology and teaching institutions? Yeah,
so much time for the AMRC, also places like MTC. I think they're invaluable. I think a lot of SMEs think that because they're linked with Boeing and because they've got their links with Rolls-Royce, I think, and if you go to Factory 2050, which is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of kind of industrial tech, it's a mad place. I think it can sometimes give the impression that it's beyond them. And like my thing and our thing as a company is trying to bring some of those benefits to the people who think that Industry 4 isn't for them. And I to be fair, I'm kind of with the whole, I think the whole Industry 4 as a term and everything wrapped around it kind of is misleading and actually it overcomplicates things. So it puts people off. I think the AMRC, like I know Jonathan Bray at the moment, he's doing a lot of great stuff in terms of digital meat manufacturing and trying to get SMEs involved. We're looking, like we put in Innovate UK bids and all sorts to create new test beds to help SMEs try out technology. But also, one thing that I've been pushing recently, and I say recently, for the last year and a half, is actually what you need to be doing is getting more technologies out there that are made for SMEs. So my thing is, Industry 4, as Industry 4, was made for Rolls-Royce, Boeing, Airbus, your big guys who can afford really expensive, transformative technologies, because they can go, right, we'll put 20 people on this and we'll give them, I don't know, 6 months, see what we get. And you've got a chunk of what I describe as middle adopters, who are your people now going, yeah, I was interested, I just couldn't afford it. What was out there was a bit too complicated. We need something that we can try out quickly, isn't going to cost as much, but I am interested. And what we've kind of got to address those people, but also plan that there's going to be a hell of a lot more people who are late adopters. So you've got all these companies that I imagine in the 70s and 80s going, well, I don't need a computer, we can do everything by paper, I don't know why we need to change. And they were the late people to get Excel and just Microsoft Office. And now it's like, well, obviously we need that. And I think that's where Industry 4, or whatever you want to describe it, however it's described in the future, I think that's what it will be. And I don't think it will never be like the vision of the smart factory where there's no people and it's gleaming. From my point of view, the smart factory is going to look exactly the same, but instead of the whiteboards at the end of each line where they've got loads of paper, that'll just be digital. That's all a smart factory needs to be in the future. It doesn't need to be anything else. It just needs to be what we're doing now, but where it's digitized, it just makes it instant and objective and easier to access. It doesn't need to be much more than that. That will already add a load of benefits to a lot of companies. And I think for me, that's where the future is.
So how do people engage with you and your team then? Yeah,
so we're really active in terms of giving people demos. We tried for a long time to, our product's been developed so you can just pick it up and use it and you shouldn't need any help with it. So we pushed for a long time, just download it, just
have a go,
sign up. Whereas now we're saying, have a demo. Half an hour, we'll show you everything there is that you can do with this software. We'll find out what you want to do and we'll tell you how we can help you do it. And then we'll also provide you with a document afterwards, which will kind of explain everything that we've gone through. So really easy. And we've got a kind of 1 month free trial as well.
Brilliant. And your new app has just come out?
Yep, just come out.
Yep.
Yeah, so with the new app, what we've done really is turned it into a full digital job sheet, a digital docket. So not only can you do what you always used to be able to do, which is track an order using contactless order technology, what you can also do is take photos and view them. You can record comments, but unlike the old app, all that information is stored on there. So what it means is that when an order goes to the factory floor, you can see all the information about that. Any information that's captured can then be viewed on it. But also what we've added to the app is live work in progress. So previously that was kind of what we kept to the dashboard, but now what we've provided is a tool so that, say you in the future go on a business trip down to London, or maybe you go to Europe somewhere, you can go onto the app and it'll tell you all the work in progress on your factory floor. It'll tell you where it's up to. You'll be able to go onto it and see exactly where it's up to. So just gives that visibility. So at the moment, it's great because if you're at home, you can view your work in progress and you can see what's been done and everyone can have access from anywhere. And that adaptability is great. But long term, you can go further. You can be anywhere in the world and still be able to see what's going on in your factory.
So a real nod to the future with that app. Fantastic news. And your plans for the future, Joe?
Yeah, so we are about to start work on an inventory app. And we've recently put in, I think by the time this goes out, we should be close to finding out from Innovate UK whether we've got our bid to build a supply chain solution.
Fantastic.
So like a supply chain portal allowing suppliers and customers to exchange information securely, meaning that rather than getting a big paper bundle, you just import your order information, your technical drawings, your certificate of conformity, everything that would normally be a big chunky passed over by hand document, upload, and it's there, done. So it should make life easier and a lot more secure.
Everything that was paper, you're taking away and you're putting it into your digital systems.
Exactly, yeah. We're not trying to do anything overly complicated. We're just trying to replace the paper, and by doing that, you add certain benefits. And that's probably as simple as it needs to be.
And that will access then straight into SMEs. So we don't need the complicated smart factories. We just need to take current production, streamline it, make it digital, and be set for the future. Yeah,
I don't think you need to replace anything. You just are making what you've already got better.
Fantastic. On that note, Joe, thank you for your time today. Great to hear about your business and great to hear that you're helping shape SMEs for the future.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you. That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. So that's it. Another show done from me, Chris G at SDE. Goodbye. See you next time.